The moment I handed in my resignation letter, Jiang Chen was still in the meeting room praising the new intern Ruby Liu. "This proposal is excellent. Ruby, you're very talented." I stood at the door watching his gentle smile. It was a smile I hadn't seen in 3 years. "Narakai, what are you doing here?" Jiang Chen noticed me and frowned. I raised the resignation letter in my hand. "President Jiang, I'm here to resign." The meeting room fell silent. Instantly Jiang Chen's expression changed. "Let's talk outside." Following him out of the meeting room, I overheard Ruby Liu whispering behind me, "She's the finance manager, right? I heard she has quite the temper." "Yeah, President Jiang has been quite tolerant of her." Jiang Chen led me to his office and closed the door. "What's the fuss about?" "I'm not joking, I'm serious." I placed the resignation letter on his desk. "I'll officially leave in a month." Jiang Chen didn't even glance at the paper. "Just because I praised Ruby, no, then what is it?" I was silent for a few seconds before finally speaking. "Jiang Chen, let's break up." He paused for a moment, then laughed again. "Narakai, how many times have you used this trick? This time is different." "What's different this time?" Jiang Chen leaned back in his chair, looking unconcerned. "Every time you're upset, you threaten to break up with me, and then I say a few comforting words and you calm down. What made you unhappy this time?" Seeing him like this, my heart completely sank. "Jiang Chen, do you know what day it is today?" "What day?" "We've been together for 3 years. Jiang Chen's expression shifted slightly, as if he suddenly remembered something important. "You forgot." I cut him off before he could speak. "Not only did you forget, but you also praised another woman, in front of the whole company. And Ruby, she's just an intern." "That's enough," I said coldly, turning to leave. "I've already submitted my resignation, and as for us, it's over. Let's not drag it out." "Narakai." Jiang Chen called my name behind me, but I didn't look back. As the elevator doors slowly slid shut, I caught one last glimpse of him standing at the office entrance, panic written all over his face, but it was too late. Back at the finance department, my colleagues were casting curious glances in my direction. "Naira, what happened between you and President Jiang?" Xiao Wang leaned in, trying to gossip. "Nothing. Get back to work." I switched on my computer and started processing the documents on my desk. 3 years, from college sweethearts to workplace lovers. 3 years of hoping that time would make him more mature, more grateful, but Jiang Chen was still the same, still thinking I was overreacting, still thinking I was hard to please. My phone buzzed. It was a WeChat message from Jiang Chen. "Let's have dinner tonight. I booked your favorite Japanese restaurant." I didn't reply. "I'm sorry. I really forgot our anniversary." Still, no response from me. "Narakai, stop being childish, everyone's watching." That last message made my chest tighten. Without hesitation, I blocked him. Chapter 2. At lunch, I headed to the shopping mall near the company. Not to shop, but for a job interview. A week ago, I had sent out my resume for the position of financial supervisor at this very mall. I hadn't expected to hear back so soon. "Miss Kai, your qualifications are impressive," said the interviewer. A capable-looking woman in her 40s. "But I'm curious, why are you leaving your current company?" "I'm looking for a change of environment," I answered simply. "But from what I see, your current company is larger and offers better long-term prospects. Sometimes the right environment matters more than a good platform." She nodded thoughtfully. "When would you be available to start?" "A month from now." "Yes, all right, we'll get back to you soon." Leaving the mall, I felt a sense of relief I hadn't felt in a long time. I checked the time. There was still half an hour before I had to be back at work. I stopped by the coffee shop on the first floor and ordered a latte. Just as I sat down, I caught sight of a familiar figure rushing past. Ruby Liu. She was holding a cup of coffee and wearing a bright, sugary smile. At first, I didn't want to get involved, but when I saw the direction she was heading, my curiosity got the better of me. I followed. Through the glass window of a jewelry store, I saw her walk inside, and there he was, Jiang Chen. They stood together in front of a display case. Ruby was pointing at something, chatting excitedly. Jiang Chen nodded, then turned and said something to the sales assistant. The clerk took out a necklace. It was a simple silver chain, elegant and delicate. Jiang Chen carefully fastened the necklace around Ruby's neck. Ruby gazed into the mirror, smiling like a child who had just received her favorite toy. My hand clenched the coffee cup so tightly I nearly crushed it. In 3 years, Jiang Cheng had never once taken the initiative to buy me jewelry. Every single time, I had to pick it out myself, and only then would he reluctantly pay, usually with a sigh and a snide remark like, "Why do you like shopping so much?" But now, he was willingly buying a necklace for, and in turn, I turned and walked away without a second glance. Back at the office, I reviewed my resignation letter once again to make sure everything was in order, no typos, no mistakes, nothing left behind. After work, Jiang Cheng was waiting in the elevator. "Nora Kai, we need to talk, there's nothing left to say." I pressed the button for the first floor. His tone grew impatient. "What do you want from me? I already apologized. What else do you expect me to do? I don't want anything from you anymore," I said flatly. "I just don't want to be with you." When the elevator reached the ground floor, I stepped out without hesitation. "We're just not right for each other." Jiang Cheng followed close behind. "Not right for each other? We've been together for 3 years, from college until now, and that's what you're saying?" "Exactly." I stopped and faced him. 3 years. "And that's precisely why I know we're not right." He froze. I continued, voice steady. "Jiang Cheng, do you know what I saw at the mall today?" His expression stiffened. "I saw you putting a necklace on Ruby Liu. Did it even cross your mind that today is our anniversary?" You didn't," I cut him off, "because in your eyes, I'll always be that Narakai who nags, complains, and forgives you no matter what you do." "No, that's not." "Yes," I said, then I turned my back to him. "I'm tired, Jiang Cheng, really tired." With that, I walked away. Narakai, stop right there," he called after me, but I didn't stop. 3 years, it was time to let it go. Chapter 3. The next morning, I received an official job offer from the mall. The salary was 30% higher than my current position, and it was a managerial role. I replied right away, accepting the offer. Back at the office, something felt different. The entire finance department seemed unusually quiet. "Nora, are you really leaving?" Xiao Wang asked, looking a bit reluctant. "Yes, I've made up my mind. Have you found something new already?" "I have." He opened his mouth like he wanted to say more, but ended up swallowing his words. I knew what he wanted to ask. It was about me and Jiang Cheng. But I had no interest in explaining. At 10 a.m., Jiang Cheng's assistant, Xiao Li, appeared at my desk. "Manager Kai, President Jiang wants to see you in his office." I glanced down at the paperwork on my desk. "I'm very busy. If he has something to say, he can tell me directly." Xiao Li looked slightly embarrassed. "President Jiang said it's urgent." "Then all the more reason to skip it." I didn't even look up. "If it's about work, tell him to email me. If it's personal, tell him to forget it." Xiao Li left awkwardly, and the office became even quieter. I could feel everyone watching me, but no one dared to say a word. At lunch, I went to the fast food place downstairs. I had just placed my order when I spotted Ruby Liu walking in, wearing the same necklace from yesterday. It sparkled under the light, prominently displayed around her neck. I carried my tray to a corner seat and sat down. Ruby ordered her meal, glanced around, then slowly made her way over. "Miss Kai, may I sit here?" she asked, pointing to the seat across from me. I gave a small nod. She sat down, a sheepish smile on her face. "Sister Kai, I heard you're leaving the company." "Yeah, is it because of the pressure?" I set down my chopsticks and looked her straight in the eyes. "What do you think?" Ruby blushed. I don't know." "Then don't ask." I continued eating. She bit her lip, hesitated, then said softly, "Sister Kai, President Jiang actually cares a lot about you." I paused. "After you left yesterday, he sat in his office for a long time." She continued, "He even asked me what kind of gifts girls like." "So you recommended the necklace?" "Yes," she said, her cheeks flushing even more, "but I thought it was for you." I gave her a faint smile. "And yet, it's hanging around your neck now, isn't it?" Ruby instinctively touched the necklace. "President Jiang said." She trailed off, then added, "He said he was thanking me for helping him pick out the gift." I wiped my mouth and looked at her calmly. "Ruby Liu, how old are you?" 22. "I'm 3 years older than you." I stood up. "Let me give you a piece of advice. Some words are just words, don't take them too seriously, especially when they come from a man. With that, I left. Back in the office, I found a bouquet of fresh red roses on my desk. They were beautiful, full bloom and fragrant. Beside them sat a card. I'm sorry, can you forgive me? Jiang Cheng. I glanced around. My co-workers were all sneaking peeks, waiting to see how I'd react. I picked up the bouquet and tossed it directly into the trash. Then I tore the card into pieces. Manager Kai, Xiao Wang started to speak. Get back to work. I turned on my computer and continued typing. At 3 p.m., Jiang Cheng sent his assistant to call me again. This time, I didn't refuse, because now, I had something to say. We were alone in Jiang Cheng's office. He sat behind his desk, while I remained standing by the door. Did you get the flowers? He asked, received them, and threw them away. His face darkened. Norokai, what exactly do you want from me? I don't want anything from you. I stepped closer. I came here to tell you that I've already found a new job. I'll be officially submitting my resignation next week. So soon, he said, his voice stiff. Yes. Jiang Cheng stood up, walked around the desk, and approached me. Narakai, let's talk this through, calmly. There's nothing to talk about. He reached out to grab my arm, but I stepped back. Narakai, he said, voice softer now. I admit I've been neglecting you lately. But that's no reason to break up. Neglecting? I gave a cold laugh. Jiang Cheng, you didn't just neglect me. You didn't even take me seriously. How could that be? He asked defensively. Then tell me, I said, eyes locked on his. Aside from our anniversary, what else have you forgotten? He looked stunned. My birthday. You worked overtime. When my father was hospitalized. You were entertaining clients. When I worked late nights. You didn't even send a single caring message. I began counting them off on my fingers. Have you forgotten all of this too? I've been really busy, he said weakly. Right, I nodded. So busy that you had time to go jewelry shopping with an intern. So busy that you remember what kind of coffee she likes. So busy that you praise every one of her project proposals like she's your rising star. His face turned even grimmer. Norokai, what nonsense are you saying? Ruby and I are just colleagues, a normal boss-subordinate relationship. Is that so? I took out my phone and opened the photo I'd taken the day before. Then how do you explain this? The picture wasn't perfectly clear, but it unmistakably showed Jiang Cheng putting a necklace on Ruby Liu. His face went pale. You were following me. I wasn't following you. I just happened to see it. I slipped the phone back into my bag. Jiang Cheng, I'm not here to argue. I came to tell you one thing. We're done. No, he grabbed my wrist. Norokai, I don't agree to breaking up. You don't agree? I shook his hand off. Relationships aren't about one person making decisions alone. They take two. We've been together for 3 years, and does that mean I have to endure neglect and indifference forever? I snapped. Does that mean I have to stand by and watch you treat another woman better than me? He opened his mouth, but no words came out. Jiang Cheng, I used to think you were just bad at expressing your feelings. I believed that deep down, you did care about me. I stared into his eyes, but now I understand. You don't. I shook my head slowly. If you truly cared, you wouldn't have forgotten our anniversary. If you truly cared, you wouldn't have praised another woman right in front of me. If you truly cared, you wouldn't be buying gifts for someone else. He was silent. I turned and walked toward the door. Norokai. His voice came from behind me, hesitant. If you really want to leave, I won't stop you. I paused but didn't turn around. But won't you regret it? I smiled faintly, pushed the door open, and walked out. Regret? The only thing I regret is wasting 3 years of my life on someone who was never worth it. Chapter 5. A week later, I officially left the company. My colleagues organized a small farewell party. Jiang Cheng did not show up. Noro, let's stay in touch. Okay, Xiao Wang said, his eyes red. Definitely, I replied with a smile, hugging each of them one by one, while clearing out my desk. I found a few little gifts Jiang Cheng had once given me. A pen, a notebook, a small crystal ornament. They were all simple, insignificant things, but I had once been so happy to receive them. Now, looking at them, they felt just like our relationship. Shiny on the outside, but hollow inside. I tossed them all into the trash before I left. In the elevator, I ran into Ruby Liu. Kai Jie, she greeted me softly. I heard today's your last day. Yeah. The elevator was silent. She looked like she wanted to say something, but didn't know how to start. Just as we neared the ground floor, she finally spoke up. Sister Kai, actually, President Jiang. Don't, I interrupted her. Those things have nothing to do with me anymore. The elevator doors opened. I walked out. Sister Kai, Ruby called after me. President Jiang hasn't been doing well lately. He actually, but I didn't look back. I just kept walking. Whether Jiang Cheng was doing well or not had nothing to do with me anymore. My new job would begin the following Monday. So I gave myself a few days off. The first thing I needed to do, move out. The apartment I shared with Jiang Cheng had too many memories, even though we split the rent. I didn't want to stay in that space a moment longer. After browsing listings for days, I finally settled on a small one-bedroom apartment near my new company. It wasn't big, but it was cozy, and more importantly, it was entirely mine. On moving day, Jiang Cheng showed up. You're really moving out? He asked, standing at the door with a troubled expression. Yes, I said calmly, continuing to pack. Why didn't you tell me? There was no need. He walked in and looked around at the cardboard boxes scattered on the floor. Narakai, are you really going to go through with this? I paused, then looked up at him. Jiang Cheng, we're already over. I never even agreed to break up. What are you trying to do? I stood, anger rising. Force me to stay with you. Jiang Chen went quiet for a moment before murmuring, I know I messed up, but we can take our time and fix things. I let out a bitter laugh. Jiang Cheng, feelings aren't business deals. You can't just fix them whenever you feel like it, can you? Then, give me a chance, he pleaded. I pointed to the cardboard boxes scattered across the floor. I already gave you 3 years. 3 whole years of chances. Did you ever treasure them? Jiang Chen opened his mouth but nothing came out. You didn't cherish them. I said flatly, and went back to packing. So now I don't owe you another chance. He just stood there, watching me move around the room, then silently turned and left. Watching his back disappear through the door, a wave of sadness washed over me. Not because I couldn't let him go, but because I couldn't let go of the 3 years of youth I'd given. Still, better a sharp sadness now than a slow, drawn-out ache. Chapter 6. The new job has gone more smoothly than I ever imagined. My co-workers are warm, my boss is easy to talk to, and best of all, there's no Jiang Chen here, no memories waiting to hurt me. After a month, I'd fully settled in. One evening after work, I stopped by the mall for groceries, planning to cook at home. That's where I ran into someone I didn't expect, Drew Ji, my college classmate and, ironically, Jiang Cheng's old roommate. He pushed his cart over, grinning. Is that really you, Drew? You? I nodded in greeting. Long time no see. Yeah. We haven't crossed paths since graduation. He looked genuinely happy. Where are you working now? I switched companies. It's close by. That's great. I work nearby too, Drew said, pointing out the window. I'm with the law firm across the street. As we browsed the aisles, he told me he'd become a lawyer and had just returned from studying abroad. Then he asked casually, so, how are things with Jiang Cheng? We broke up, I replied calmly. His eyes widened. When? Last month. Why? I thought you two were solid. I gave a small, bitter smile. Maybe we looked solid, but good feelings alone can't hold a relationship together. Drew seemed about to respond. But when he saw my expression, he held his tongue. At checkout, he suggested, let's grab a meal sometime. There's a great Sichuan place nearby. Are you free tonight? I hesitated only a moment before nodding. The restaurant's food was amazing, and we chatted easily over dinner. Drew shared stories from abroad. Funny, surprising, a little wild. Are you getting used to living on your own? He asked. I am. It feels liberating. I sipped my tea. Work's going well too. Life feels full. That's good. He studied me thoughtfully. You seem brighter now, more alive than before. Do I? He nodded. You used to be so careful, like you were always walking on eggshells. Now you seem relaxed, comfortable. I thought about it and realized he was right. With Jiang Chen, I'd always worried about saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, afraid to upset him. Without that weight, I felt lighter, freer. After dinner, Drew drove me home. When we reached my building, he asked, can we stay in touch? Maybe talk more often? Of course, I handed him my new number. Then I'll let you go, rest early. Okay, thanks for bringing me back. Watching him walk away, I felt unexpectedly warm. It's rare and lucky to bump into an old friend in a new place. And being around Drew was so easy. No pressure, no tension, just normal friendship. At home, I took a hot bath, then curled up with a book. This was the life I wanted. No fights, no silent wars, no constant suspicion. Only peace and freedom. If Jiang Chen could see me now, maybe he'd regret it. But that doesn't matter anymore. What matters is I've finally found my own rhythm. Chapter 7. Over the weekend, Drew asked me to see a movie with him, a suspense thriller that kept us both on edge. Afterward, we wandered the mall together. Passing a jewelry store, he suddenly stopped. "What do you think of that bracelet?" he asked, pointing at a silver piece in the display. "It's beautiful," I said, leaning in to admire the unique design. "Then I'll buy it for you," Drew said. I blinked. "No, you don't have to, it's too expensive." "It's not expensive," he insisted. "Think of it as a gift to celebrate our reunion." Before I could argue, he gently tugged me inside. The clerk greeted us warmly and quickly boxed up the bracelet. "Drew, really, you don't need to." I tried again. "It's just a little something between friends," he said, handing me the box. "If you refuse, I'll be hurt." I had no choice but to accept. As we stepped back into the mall, my emotions tangled, not because I disliked the gift, but because memories of Jiang Cheng resurfaced. In 3 years with him, he'd never once surprised me with a present. Every gift had been something I chose myself, and even then, he'd grumble about the cost. Now here was Drew, just a friend, offering something thoughtful without hesitation. The difference was staggering. "What's wrong?" Drew noticed the shift in my mood. "Nothing. Just some old memories," I said quietly. He paused, then started. "Actually, about Jiang Cheng." "Don't," I interrupted. "That's all in the past." He let it drop, and we wandered a bit longer before having dinner. Drew was attentive and kind, pouring water and ordering dishes with quiet thoughtfulness. "Drew, how did you get so good at taking care of people?" I asked curiously. He smiled. "Maybe it's because I had to manage everything by myself while living abroad for a few years. It just became second nature. Besides," his eyes softened, "looking after someone you like comes naturally." I caught the meaning behind his words but stayed silent. Drew is a genuinely kind man, but I wasn't ready to start anything new. I just walked away from a 3-year relationship. I still needed time to find my balance again. On the drive home, Drew said quietly, "I know you're probably not ready for another relationship yet, but I want you to know, I'm serious." "Drew, you don't have to answer me," he interrupted gently. "I just want you to know how I feel." He pulled over, turned to me, and met my eyes. "I can wait until you're ready." Something in his sincere gaze moved me. "Thank you, Drew," I whispered. "Could you give me some time?" "Of course," he nodded. "Take all the time you need." Back home, I took out the bracelet. It was delicate and beautiful, prettier even than the necklace Jiang Cheng had bought for Ruby Liu. I slipped it onto my wrist and looked at my reflection. It fit perfectly, just like Drew's quiet care fit into my life. Maybe some people don't need grand declarations or dramatic gestures. They just show up at the right time and quietly stand guard. And some people, no matter how long they've loved or how much they've given, simply aren't the right fit. With that thought, I picked up my phone and scrolled through my old messages with Jiang Cheng. His last text still sat there. "Can we talk?" He'd sent it 3 days ago. I hadn't replied. And now, I realized, I didn't need to. I deleted his contact from WeChat, erasing him completely from my life. Chapter 8. Life felt lighter after removing Jiang Chen. Work was steady, my friends cared about me, and everything seemed to fall into place. My bond with Drew grew naturally. He never rushed me or pushed for answers. He just quietly became part of my world. Sometimes, when I stayed late at the office, he'd wait for me downstairs and take me out for a midnight snack. When my mood dipped, he'd walk with me and listen without judgment. On boring weekends, he'd drag me out to a movie or a stroll in the park. There were no arguments, no silent standoffs, no gnawing suspicions, just companionship and understanding. Then, one afternoon at the mall, I ran into Ruby Liu again. She looked worn out, Her eyes red like she'd been crying. She approached me first. "Can we talk?" she asked. I glanced at the time and nodded. We sat in a cafe, the low hum of chatter around us. "President Jiang hasn't been doing well lately," Ruby said cautiously. "That has nothing to do with me," I replied, calmly sipping my coffee. "But he's been looking for you," she said. Watching my reaction, "Looking for me," my brow furrowed. "He's asked a lot of people where you work now. He even went to your old place," Ruby explained. A jolt of unease ran through me. Was Jiang Cheng following me? "President Jiang is really remorseful," she added quickly. "He works late every day now. He barely talks to anyone, even when I report work to him. He's completely distracted." I set my cup down, my voice cool. "Did he send you to find me today?" Ruby flushed. "No, I came on my own." "Because I think I misunderstood something." She lowered her gaze. "That day he bought me the necklace. He actually meant it for you, but you left so quickly, he didn't get a chance to give it to you. Later he asked me what kind of gifts girls like. I thought he was buying for you, so I recommended the necklace. But when he saw how much I liked it, he gave it to me instead. He said, 'You probably wouldn't have accepted it anyway.'" I froze. So that necklace had been meant for me all along. "President Jiang really cares about you," Ruby said softly. "He often asks me how you would handle certain tasks. He even keeps your photo on his desk and looks at it every day." I stayed silent. "Could you, maybe talk to him?" she pleaded. "I think there's been a misunderstanding between you." "There's no misunderstanding," I said, shaking my head. "Ruby, some things aren't that simple." "But, no buts." I stood. "Thank you for telling me, but what's between me and Jiang Cheng is over." I left, but Ruby's words kept echoing inside me. Did Jiang Chen really regret it? Had he been searching for me all this time? Back home, irritation bubbled beneath my skin. I'd promised myself a fresh start. So why did the past still reach for me? My phone buzzed. It was Drew. "Are you free tonight? I made your favorite braised pork." Seeing his message steadied me. "I'll be right there," I replied. Yes, I needed to look forward. It was time to let go of Jiang Cheng completely. Chapter 9. Dinner at Drew's place lifted my spirits. His braised pork was incredible. Better than anything from a restaurant. "When did you get so good at cooking?" I asked. He chuckled. "I practiced while I was abroad. When you live alone, if you can't cook, you go hungry. Well then, I'll look forward to more good food," I teased. "You're always welcome here," he said warmly. We sat together on the sofa, watching TV, the room filled with a gentle, homely atmosphere. Then the doorbell rang. "Who could that be at this hour?" Drew frowned, heading to the door. The moment it opened, a familiar voice reached me. "Is Norokai here?" My heart skipped. "Jiang Cheng, Jiang Chen." Drew sounded surprised. "What are you doing here? I'm asking you. Is Norokai here?" Jiang Cheng's tone was urgent. "What business is that of yours?" Drew's voice turned cold. "She's my girlfriend now, ex-girlfriend," Jiang Cheng corrected sharply. "I never agreed to break up." His voice rose. Echoing down the hallway, listening from the living room, I felt a surge of conflicting emotions. Finally, I stepped out. Jiang Cheng. He stood in the doorway, hair disheveled, clothes wrinkled, looking nothing like the confident man I once knew. My chest tightened at the sight. But I held my ground. Norokai seeing me, his eyes instantly lit up. "You finally showed up. How did you find this place? I've been looking for you for a long time, asking a lot of people." Jiang Cheng walked toward me. "Norokai, let's talk." "There's nothing to talk about." I took a step back. "Jiang Chen, I've already told you it's over between us." I don't accept that. Jiang Chen was very emotional. "Norokai, I know I've done a lot of things wrong, but I can change. You've said that many times." I shook my head. "But you've never really changed. This time is different." Jiang Chen grabbed my hand. "Norokai, I've thought a lot during this time. I know I've neglected you before. I know I haven't been good enough. But I can really change." I pulled my hand away. "Jiang Chen, don't be like this." "Then what do you want me to do?" Jiang Cheng's eyes reddened. "Norokai, I love you. I really love you. If you really loved me, you wouldn't have let me suffer so much injustice." I looked at him, feeling no emotion in my heart. "Jiang Cheng, we're really not suited for each other." "No," Jiang Cheng exclaimed loudly. "We are suited. We've been together for 3 years. We're very compatible." 3 years. I smiled bitterly. Jiang Cheng, what have you given me in these 3 years? Neglect, indifference, or favoritism toward others? Jiang Chen was stunned. Over these 3 years I've been constantly accommodating you, enduring your indifference and being moved by every little thing. You did. My voice was calm. But now I understand that wasn't love, it was self-deception. Norokai. Jiang Cheng, it's really over between us. I took a few steps back, moving closer to Drew Ji. Please don't disturb my life anymore. Jiang Chen watched as we drew closer, his expression turning grim. Norokai, you and him, it's none of your business. How could it be none of my business? Jiang Cheng Rhodes, emotions completely broke down. Norokai, you can't do this to me. We had 3 years together, 3 years. 3 years of feelings can't compare to your concern for an intern. I said calmly. Jiang Cheng, just go, I'm not leaving. Jiang Cheng said, Norokai, come back with me, let's talk this out properly. She said she doesn't want to talk to you. Drew Ji stepped in front of me. Jiang Cheng, don't go too far, go too far. Jiang Cheng sneered. Drew Ji, you're the one going too far, you're taking advantage of the situation. What do you mean taking advantage of the situation? Drew Gu's voice turned cold. You're the one who didn't cherish it and now you're blaming others. 2 men stood facing each other, the air thick with tension. I feel very tired. Stop arguing, I said. Jiang Cheng, leave, I won't go back with you. Chapter 10. Jiang Chen stood in place looking at me and Drew Ji. His gaze was complex, filled with anger, resentment, and deep regret. Norokai, are you really choosing him? He asked. I glanced at Drew Ji beside me. Then at Jiang Cheng. Jiang Chen, it's not a matter of choice, I said. We're just not right for each other. What do you mean by not suitable? Jiang Cheng walked toward me. Norokai, we've been together since college. What could possibly be not suitable about us? Our personalities don't match, our ways of getting along don't match, and our understanding of love doesn't match either. I said word by word. Jiang Cheng, how many have we fought over these 3 years? How many cold wars have we had? Do you remember? Jiang Cheng fell silent. Every time I was the one to apologize first, every time I was the one to compromise first. I continued, I thought that was love. I thought as long as I loved you enough, you would eventually be moved. You moved me. Jiang Chen whispered. No. I shook my head. If you were truly moved, you wouldn't have forgotten my birthday, forgotten our anniversary, or chosen to be with someone else when I needed you the most. Jiang Cheng's expression grew increasingly grim. Jiang Cheng, I don't blame you for not loving me enough, because love should be mutual. I looked at him. But I blame you for giving me hope only to disappoint me time and time again. Norokai, I can change. You can't change, I interrupted him. Jiang Cheng, it's your nature, you can't change it. Jiang Chen stood there, tears finally falling. Norokai, you can't treat me like this. We have so many beautiful memories. Let the memories stay in the past, I said. Jiang Cheng, we both need to move forward. Jiang Chen looked at me, said nothing in the end, and turned to leave. Watching his retreating figure, I felt a bit sad, but more than that, I felt relieved. Norokai, are you okay? Drew Ji asked with concern. It's nothing, I shook my head. I just feel like it's finally over. Drew Ji pulled me to sit on the sofa. Norokai, I have something I want to say to you. He looked into my eyes after Jiang Chen came today. I suddenly realized something. What is it? I don't want to wait any longer. Drew Ji held my hand. Norokai, I know you just ended a relationship and might still need time to adjust, but I want to tell you I'm serious. I look at him feeling warmth in my heart. Drew Ji, you don't have to answer me now, he said. I just want you to know that no matter how long it takes for you to forget the past, I will wait for you. I was moved by his sincerity. Drew Ji, you actually. I wanted to say something, but the words stopped at the tip of my tongue. I want to give it a try too. I finally spoke my mind. When I'm with you, I feel relaxed and happy. It's a feeling I haven't experienced in a long time. Drew Goo's eyes lit up. You mean, let's give it a try? I nodded. But you'll have to give me some time to adjust to a new relationship. Of course, Drew Ji said happily. We'll take it slow, no rush. He gently took my hand and kissed the back of it softly. Norokai, thank you for giving me a chance. It's me who should thank you, I said. Thank you for showing up when I needed care the most. This is what I should do. We looked at each other and smiled. The air filled with a sweet scent. Although my 3-year relationship with Jiang Chen has ended, I believe a better life is waiting for me. With True Ji Yu, I feel what true love is. No arguments, No cold wars, only care and understanding. This is the kind of relationship I want. Goodbye, Jiang Chen. Thank you for making me understand what an unsuitable love is. Thank you for helping me meet the right person. Now I'm going to start a new life, a life that truly belongs to me. The end. That's the end of the first story. I hope you enjoyed it. The next story will be even more exciting. So let's continue together. Yuba is the illegitimate son of a wealthy family. I accompanied him from having nothing to taking control of the Ju family a full 7 years. But once he gained a firm foothold, he brought back another girl. She is my light and you are just a responsibility forced upon me by the family. I didn't argue with him, quietly packed my things, and even helped him move the girl's luggage into the master bedroom. He didn't know at the moment he introduced the love of his life to everyone. I was sitting by the bedside of the Ju family's patriarch, presenting him with evidence of his embezzlement and framing of his own brother. One document at a time. When Ji Bai brought Lin Wei through the door, I was trimming his favorite CVIA plant in the entryway. The cold gleam of the scissors reflected the timid yet somewhat defiant face of the girl behind him. Yu Bai's voice was devoid of any emotion, as if he was simply informing me that the weather was bad. Today, this is Lin Wei, she will be living here from now on. I set down the scissors, not looking at Lin Wei, only at him. 7 years I had accompanied him from being the most unwelcome, illegitimate son of the Ju family, step by step to the center of power, outmaneuvering 2 legitimate-born young masters and securing his position as the president of the Ju group. I thought it was time for us to embrace a boundless future. But he brought back a girl. Do you buy? What do you mean by this? He seemed annoyed by my questioning, frowning slightly. Isn't my meaning clear enough? He pulled Lin Wei behind him, and that protective stance stung my eyes. Lin Wei is my light, he said, word by word, as if pronouncing my death sentence. And you Shunqing are just a responsibility. Grandpa forced on me responsibility. Those 2 words were icy and piercing, plunging straight into the depths of my heart. I laughed. Okay, I didn't say another word. Turned around and headed upstairs. Behind me came Lin with soft voice. Did I make Ching Ching upset? Yu Bai's voice was so gentle it felt unfamiliar to me. It's not your fault. It's time for her to recognize her place. The master bedroom no longer belonged to me. Lin Wei's suitcase was placed by the door. Pink and very girly. I opened the door expressionlessly, carried her suitcase inside, and placed it on the bed I had slept on for 7 years. Julie Bai followed and leaned against the door frame. His gaze. I see, at least you know what's good for you. I ignored him and walked straight to the walk-in closet. Inside, half of the clothes were mine. The other half were all outfits I had bought for him. I started packing my things one by one. He suddenly spoke up. Wait. He walked in and picked out a pair of cufflinks from the pile of things I had organized. Leave this behind, he said calmly. I looked at him for these cufflinks. I once got lost in a Parisian alley on a blizzard day and developed a high fever. In the midst of my fever, I clutched this small box, thinking of the look of surprise on his face when he would wear them. Lin Wei said she really likes this brand, he added casually. This sentence was like a blunt knife grinding away at the faith I had built over 7 years, leaving it bruised and blooded, inch by inch. I looked at him. Those eyes that once vowed to shine only for me now seemed so unfamiliar because of another woman. My heart tightened, the pain suffocating. But in the end I placed the pair of cufflinks back into the jewelry box on his side. Okay, I only said 1 word, 2. I packed things up very quickly. 2 suitcases held 7 years of my youth. Lin Wei followed closely behind like a victor surveying her territory. Ching Ching, please don't blame you Bai, he just loves me too much, she said, biting her lip. Looking pitiful and vulnerable. Are you really leaving? Actually, we could live together. I wouldn't mind. I was almost amused to the point of laughter by her words. This fool, her thought process is so convoluted. What she sees as a victory in my eyes is nothing but a clumsy performance by a clown. I stopped walking and turned back to look at her. The air conditioner in the master bedroom has an old issue. It blows directly toward the head of the bed. Tell Julie Bai to remember to have someone fix it or it might cause headaches. Also, he has a sensitive stomach. There's stomach medicine in the second drawer of the bedside table. Don't let him take it on an empty stomach. the PE wood chair in the study, the right armrests is a bit loose. I never got around to having someone secure it. Remind him not to put too much pressure on it. With every sentence I spoke, Lin Wei's face shifted from pale to ashen, then to deathly white. Her lips trembled and the triumph in her eyes was replaced by terror. These are habits ingrained in Ju Yubai's very bones, and they are proof that I have taken care of him day in and day out for 7 years. She thought she had one Ju Yubai, but she didn't know that his life had long been shaped by me into something entirely different. What she took over was merely a shell that I had customized. Lin Wei's eyes reddened as if she had suffered a great injustice. Ju Yiba came upstairs just in time to witness this scene. He immediately shielded Lin Wei in his arms and scolded me sharply. Shin-chan, are you bullying her again? Pack your things and get out of here quickly. Don't be an eyesore. I dragged my suitcase past them, not even bothering to give them a single glance. Get lost. 7 years ago the 2 young masters of the Ju family had also said this word to Ju Yi. By that day, I was the one who pulled him out of the mud. Today he used the same word to push me back in the car, drove out through the iron gate of the Ju family mansion. From the rear view mirror I saw Ju Yi by lowering his head, gently wiping away Lin Wei's tears. 3. I didn't return to any of the properties under my name. All of them were filled with traces of Ju Yi. By I had the driver take me to a hotel in the city center that I had booked long in advance, penthouse suite with an expansive view. I drew back the curtains and the entire city's nightscape came into view. The Ju family's lights appeared particularly insignificant amidst that brilliance. I took out my phone and dialed a number. Hey, it's me. Is everything ready? Ju Yibai thought I wouldn't be able to survive without him, after all. For the past 7 years I gave up my studies and cut off all social connections for him, living like an accessory in his shadow, but he forgot before I met him. I was also the cherished daughter of the Shin family. Although our family couldn't compare to the Ju family in terms of influence, we once held a place in the business world. That was until my father's investment failed and our family fell into decline. The patriarch of the Ju family, an old friend of my father, took me in at that time and arranged for me to become engaged to Jie Yubai, who was also facing difficulties back then. The patriarch said, both of you are children of misfortune. From now on you must support each other. I kept my word. Do you buy? However, forgot over the years I haven't been unaware of his little maneuvers. All the suspicions began 3 years ago with that project in the southern part of the city. He made a 9-point first fund adjustment in the accounts, telling me it was a necessary expense for networking. Out of years of trust and not wanting to distract him, I didn't look into it further. It wasn't until one time when I accidentally saw his chat history with an unfamiliar number which mentioned an overseas account. A woman's intuition made me sense something was off. I privately had someone investigate and found that the account holder was actually Lin Wei's mother. At that moment, I felt as if I had fallen into an icy abyss. It turned out that his light had long been shining elsewhere. From that day on, I stopped deceiving myself. I began quietly gathering every piece of information about him, from how he exploited loopholes in the Ju family's financial system to launder money through multiple affiliated companies, to how he fabricated evidence to frame his 2 older brothers. I once thought that as long as I did well enough, as long as he stood high enough, he would see my worth and abandon those underhanded tactics. I regarded this evidence, which could send him to hell, as our last talisman, hoping the day would never come when I had to use it. But he shattered my illusions with his own hands. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Jie-Yubai's assistant Miss Shin. President Ju can't find the proposal for next month's bidding. Where did you put it? I looked at the message and found it ridiculous. I had stayed up 3 nights in a row to finish that proposal, and every word of it was etched in my mind. I replied with 2 words, no idea. It wasn't long before Zed Yubai called, his voice barely containing his anger. Shun-chan, don't play these hard-to-get games with me. Where is the proposal? I sent you the handover list. Can't you check it yourself? My voice was unnervingly calm. There was a brief silence on the other end of the line, followed by an even fiercer outburst. Who has time to go through hundreds of pages? I order you to tell me right now he has grown accustomed to my complete obedience to my coming and going at his beck and call. Mr. Ju, I chuckled softly. It seems you've forgotten I've already left. From now on, your affairs have nothing to do with me. I hung up the phone directly. Listening to the busy tone from the phone, I could imagine Yuba's furious expression at that moment. He will realize that without me he is like a rootless duckweed, easily toppled with a single push. Those trivial details he never cared about are precisely the foundation that supports his glamorous facade. And now I am personally stripping it away, for Yuba is preparing to host a grand banquet to formally introduce Lin Wei to everyone. The venue is chosen at the 7-star hotel under the Ju Group. The invitation arrived while I was having tea on the gilded card bore, the names Yuba and Lin Wei, side by side, glaringly bright. I casually tossed it into the trash can. Not long after, a message from Lin Wei came. The MS contained a photo of her trying on a dress. And the style was unmistakably from my favorite designer brand System Ching. What do you think? Does it look good? Yuba said I look best in this. Every word was dripping with boastfulness. I replied to her, the dress is nice, but unfortunately the person wearing it can't do it justice. She probably didn't expect me to be so direct and didn't reply for a long time. After a while a voice message came through. It was Yuba's voice, thick with warning. Shin-chan. Don't think I don't know what you're up to. Put away those underhanded little tricks of yours, and don't mess with Lin Wei. You must come to the banquet and settle things with us in front of everyone. He wants me to be the backdrop of their love story, using my misery to highlight their perfection. I laughed. Fine. He wants me to go. How could I not? Such a spectacular show, I wouldn't want to miss it. On the day of the banquet, I didn't dress up as they expected to compete with Lin Wei for attention. I chose a black suit and went without makeup. The car did not head toward the brightly lit hotel. Instead it turned toward the outskirts of the city, to the secluded and almost isolated Ju family's old residence. The patriarch of the Ju family had been living here ever since he suffered a stroke. The bodyguard at the door recognized me and knew how much the old master valued me. So he didn't stop me and respectfully opened the gate for me. I walked through the long courtyard and arrived at the old master's study. He was sitting in a wheelchair, gazing at the sunset outside the window, his figure looking lonely. Although the old master had suffered a stroke and had difficulty moving, his mind was still clear. Even because of the quiet rest during illness, I have gained a clearer perspective on some matters than before. He had long been suspicious of Yuba's recent behaviors, but was confined to bed due to illness and unable to verify them personally. All I did was completely pierce that thin layer of window paper. Hearing the footsteps, he slowly turned his head and a glimmer of light flashed in his dim eyes. "Girl, you're here." He spoke with great effort, but every word was filled with affection. I walked over, crouched down beside him, and held his withered hand. "Grandpa, I'm here 5. I accompanied the old man and talked a lot from the first time I stepped into the Ju family to my engagement with Yuba and how we ended up where we are today. I spoke very calmly, as if telling someone else's story. The old man listened quietly, his wrinkled face showing no expression, until my phone started vibrating wildly. It was Yuba. I impatiently muted it, but he persisted, calling over and over again. In the end, I still answered, "Shin-chan. Where are you? Everyone here is waiting for you." His voice was almost a roar. "Are you too scared to come, afraid of losing face?" I remained silent on the other end of the phone. He seemed even angrier. "Let me tell you, whether you want to or not, you're coming today. I've already sent someone to pick you up. Don't even think about hiding. We must settle this between us once and for all." I let out a light laugh. "Do you buy? Why are you in such a hurry?" After saying that I hung up the phone directly and then turned it off. The world instantly became quiet. I turned my gaze back to the old man. His eyes had become sharp. "Did he bully you?" I shook my head and took a folder out of the bag I was carrying. "Grandpa, please take a look at this first." I opened the folder and spread the documents inside one by one on the table in front of the old man. The first one was the detailed account statement of a real estate project. Under the Ju Group there is a fund of up to 9 figures that has been transferred to an overseas private account. This is the payment from the project in the southern part of the city 3 years ago. I explained softly. Yuba told me this money was a necessary expense for handling relationships. But I've checked, the account holder is Lin Wei's mother. The old man's breathing instantly became heavy, his trembling hand, the only one that could still move, pointed shakily toward the document. His eyes wide as saucers. Just then, a knock sounded at the study door. It was Lin Wei, that soft yet anxious voice. I knew it was her the moment I heard it. She probably volunteered to be a persuader, hoping to further highlight her status. However, her plan clearly backfired. The Ju family's butler blocked the door. Miss Lin, the old master, is speaking with Miss Shin and has instructed not to see any guests. From outside door came Lin Wei's tearful voice. Uncle Butler, please let me in. Yu Bai is going crazy with worry. The banquet is about to start, and if Sister Shin-chan doesn't show up, things will blow up. I turned a deaf ear and pushed the second document in front of the old man. It was a stack of photographs. In the photos, the eldest grandson of the Ju family, Yu Bai's older brother Ji Chiming, was behaving intimately with a heavily made-up woman in a hotel room. This is the incident from 5 years ago when you drove Big Brother out of the family. Yu Bai told me that it was our eldest brother's improper private life and his embezzlement of public funds to support court his mistress that got caught by the Papa PZI, bringing shame to the Ju family. But I found out that this woman was an actress hired by Yu Bai, and the so-called public funds eventually ended up in Lin Wei's mother's bank account through several shell companies. The old man's hands propped on the table trembled violently. The teacup on the table was knocked over by him, and the scalding tea spilled all over his hand, yet he seemed not to feel any pain outside. Lin Wei was still sobbing. Ching, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have been with you. Bai, please come out. Okay, if you keep hiding like this, Yu Bai will hate you for the rest of his life. I sneered. I placed the last envelope on top. The envelope had yellowed with age, looking quite old. Grandpa. This is the anonymous letter that led to second brother being sent to the Africa branch. Back then JEBA said it was the company's founding members who jointly reported claiming second brother lacked the ability and had too much ambition, trying to undermine your authority. You were so furious at the time that you sent second brother away. The old man's eyes were fixed intently on that envelope. I opened the envelope and pulled out the letter. Inside, I found the top handwriting identification expert in the country. This letter was forged by Julie, who imitated the signatures of more than a dozen company directors, one by one, incident by incident. Each one is a bloody testament to Ju by climbing up, by stepping on the bones of his brothers. The old man opened his mouth, using his last ounce of strength to point at the evidence, letting out a desperate hose cry from his throat. You fiend, you beast. He wanted to speak, but could no longer utter a single complete word. He slid from his wheelchair and fell heavily to the ground. I looked at him, my eyes completely unflinching. I slowly crouched down and slipped the forged letter of accusation into his tightly clenched hand. My voice was soft, but each word struck heavily at his heart. Grandpa, do you see now what kind of thing you've raised with your own hands? Outside the window, in the direction of the distant hotel, a firework shot up into the sky. Blooming brilliantly in the night, it was Yu Bai's grand confession, prepared for his beloved. Yet here the sky of the Ju family had collapsed. 6. The patriarch was rushed to the hospital. The news was tightly suppressed by the butler, aside from a few trusted aides at the old residence. No one knew what had happened. I followed the ambulance to the hospital and, after settling everything, finally turned on my phone. There were over 100 missed calls, all from Yu Bai and Lin Wei. And countless messages. Shin-chan, where on earth are you? Are you trying to ruin me? Sister Ching, I beg you, please come back. Yu Bai, he smashed the entire banquet. Shin-chan, if you have the guts, never show up again. I read through each message, then expressionlessly deleted them all. I walked out of the hospital and took a taxi back to the hotel. As soon as I entered the room, a phone call came in. It was from Uncle Liang, the old butler who had served the Ju family's patriarch. For decades Miss Shin, the patriarch, has woken up. Uncle Liang's voice sounded utterly exhausted. He want to see you, Uncle Liang. I walked to the window, watching the traffic flowing below. I've done everything I should have done. The rest is your Ju family's internal affair. It's not appropriate for me to interfere. There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. The old man said he owes you an apology. He also said the Jew family owes you too. I laughed. A bitter sound laced with sorrow. I don't owe anything anymore, I said. 7 years ago he took me in and arranged for me to be engaged to you. I've spent 7 years of my youth repaying that debt. As for you buy what he owes me, he will spend the rest of his life repaying where even now. After hanging up the phone, I poured myself a glass of red wine. The scarlet liquid swirled in the glass. Eerily reminiscent of the blood shed by Bai's brothers. Only when he raised the butcher's knife toward me did I realize that in his world there were no exceptions, only stepping stones. Unfortunately, he chose the wrong stepping stone. I am not soft mud to be trampled upon. I am the unyielding rock that will trip him and shatter him to pieces. 7. The storm at the Jew family came faster and more violently than I had anticipated. The next morning, the headlines of the financial news were dominated by the Jew Group. Bai, president of the Jew Group, has been suspended by the board of directors for alleged embezzlement and commercial fraud pending an internal investigation. In the news footage, Bai was surrounded by reporters at the company entrance, his face ashen and his eyes fierce. Beside him, Lin Wei looked terrified, clutching his arm tightly. How pitiful. I turned off the TV and started packing my luggage. My phone started ringing like crazy again. Bai, Lin Wei and some Suk's friends I know, without exception, they all came to question me. Shin-chan, was it you? How could you be so vicious? Ching-chan, you should apologize to President Z quickly, he's not doing well right now. Shin-chan, you've destroyed you. Bai, you'll get your retribution. I didn't answer any of them, just took out the SM card and threw it into the toilet. This number, along with all the people and things associated with it, should disappear. I booked the earliest flight to Europe long ago. I had already laid out all my escape routes. Bai thought he had everything under control, but he never knew that the one truly controlling the game was always me. In the airport VIP lounge, I saw the latest news. The patriarch of the Jew family personally stepped in and dismissed Bai from all his positions within the Jew group. At the same time, he announced that the eldest grandson Chiming, who was abroad, would be brought back to the country to take charge of the situation. The dust has settled. Bai suffered a crushing defeat just as I was about to board the plane. An unfamiliar number sent me a text message. It's me. Bai. I raised an eyebrow. He still had the energy to get a new number to contact me. I know it's you, Shun-ching. You went to the old house. You saw Grandpa. Well, me, why? I gave you 7 years of wealth and honor, and this is how you repay me. I looked at those lines of accusation and felt nothing but irony. He will never see his own faults in his eyes. Everything I did was taken for granted. I show the slightest resistance and it's considered betrayal. I thought for a moment and sent him one last message. Bai, don't you like the light? Hell is so dark, your light will shine brightest there. I'm just sending you down myself so you can see it clearly. Yuri, welcome. After sending it, I blocked the number and boarded the plane. Goodbye. Goodbye. My absurd and ridiculous. 7 years 8 after the plane landed, I settled down in a tranquil lakeside town. I needed time to completely shed the marks left by the past 7 years. I woke up naturally every day, took walks by the lake or found a cafe to read books all day long. I picked up my profession again, enrolled in online courses, and began planning for my life. This calm and free life makes me feel as if I have been reborn. Occasionally I also come across news about the Jew family in some financial magazines. After Chiming returned, he took swift and decisive action, quickly stabilizing the Jew families. He eliminated all the cronies left behind by Jew EBA and reorganized the company's operations. The Jew family's ship, which was nearly sunk by Bai, has been steered back onto the right course under his leadership. As for Bai, the report only mentioned a few brief sentences after being expelled from the family. All his cards were frozen. Lin Wei also left him immediately, taking with her the little cash she had left. He wants to find a job, but no company dares to hire him. When I saw these messages, I felt nothing inside. This is the outcome he deserved. About a month later, the person sent by Chiming found me, a middle-aged man who appeared very capable, arrived. Introducing himself as Chim's special assistant Miss Shin, the young master, Would like to meet you. I wasn't surprised. I nodded and said all right. The meeting was arranged at a very private Chinese restaurant. Ju Chiming appeared more composed than in the photographs, with a resolute look in his brow reminiscent of the old master. He looked at me, his expression complex. "Thank you," he said, getting straight to the point. "No need." I poured him a cup of tea. "I didn't do it for you." He picked up the teacup and took a gentle sip. "I know, I was just thinking if back then I hadn't been so easily deceived by him, perhaps you wouldn't have had to go down this path." I shook my head. "There are no, what ifs, what happened to him, wasn't your fault, he just took advantage of your trust in him." A brief silence fell between us. In the end, he was the first to speak. "Grandpa miss you a lot." My hand holding the teacup paused slightly. "Is he okay?" "Not great, but not terrible either." Ji Chiming said the doctor said he was overwhelmed by anger. Although he has limited mobility now, his mind is clear. He asked me to tell you that the Ju family's door is always open for you. I smiled without saying a word. "I won't be going back to the Ju family. What are your plans for the future?" he asked. "I want to continue studying and then open a small gallery of my own," I said, voicing the dream I once had, the dream I had buried deep in my heart for J.E.U. by Ji Chiming, nodded. "If you need any help, feel free to reach out to me anytime." He handed me a business card. "Shin-chan," he said earnestly, looking at me, "you're a good girl and you deserve a better life." I took the card and smiled at him. "Thank you." I knew he meant it sincerely, but from now on I will walk my own path. 9. My gallery opened a few months later. It was located on a quiet street corner, not large but very cozy. On the opening day, Ju Chiming sent a flower basket with just 4 simple words. "A bright future ahead." I placed the flower basket in the most prominent spot. The gallery business is neither too good nor too bad. It's enough to support my life and gives me plenty of time to create. I paint mountains, paint the sea, paint the clouds in the sky, and paint the wild flowers by the roadside. I just never paint people any. I thought my life would continue on peacefully like this until that day Ju Yubai came. His figure was both foreign and unfamiliar. I was tidying up the easel when I heard the wind chime at the door ring. I froze. I later found out that this was his last day out on bail before he was imprisoned. He had lost a lot of weight and looked much more haggard, with disheveled hair and sunken eyes. There was none of the high spirits he once had. He looked at me. His eyes filled with a complex mix of regret, resentment, and bitterness. "Shin-chan," he spoke, his voice terribly hoarse. I straightened up, looking at him calmly. "Can I help you? I've been looking for you for a long time." Ju Yubai walked toward me, step by step. I did not step back, just watched him quietly. "You're doing quite well." He looked around my gallery, his voice thick with envy. "Thanks to you," I replied indifferently. He was taken aback by my response, his expression turning sour. "Why are you treating me like this?" He finally asked the question that had been lingering in his mind for so long. "I thought we had feelings for each other." "Feelings?" I laughed, as if I had heard the biggest joke. "Ju Yubai, are you even worthy of talking about feelings? When you brought Lin Wei through the door and said I was just your responsibility, nothing was left between us." My voice wasn't loud, but every word pierced his heart like a needle. He staggered back a step, his face deathly pale. I was just, he wanted to explain, but found himself at a loss for words. "Just what?" I stepped closer to him. "Just dazzled by your light, thinking the shadow was in the way and wanted to kick me aside. Is that it? What do you think I Shin-chan? A slave with no dignity and no bottom line, someone you can summon and dismiss at will? Ju Yubai, you overestimate yourself and underestimate me." He was left speechless by my words and could only glare at me with those bloodshot eyes. "You've ruined me," he muttered to himself. "You've destroyed everything I had." "I ruined you," I sneered. "No. I merely pulled you down from a position that never belonged to you. What you have now is exactly what you were always meant to have, a penniless wretch who climbs the ladder by betraying his brothers and trampling on his lover." These words shattered the last of his defenses completely. He lunged at me like a madman. "I'll kill you." I did not dodge. Just as his hand was about to reach me, the gallery door was pushed open. 2 bodyguards in black suits rushed in, grabbing him from both sides. Ju Chiming walked in from outside the door without even glancing at Ju Yuba. He strode directly toward me. Are you okay? I shook my head. Only then did Jae-chemin turn around, looking coldly at Jae-yuba, who was struggling like a mad dog. Take him away. His voice was icy cold. I don't want to see this person appear in her life again. Yes, young Master Zyu-bai was dragged out, still cursing, foully under his breath. The gallery returned to silence. Tenju Chiming did not pursue Zyu-bai to the brink in the business world. However, he anonymously sent the evidence of Jae-yuba's framing to the judicial authorities due to the conclusive evidence and the substantial amount involved. Even with the Ju family's connections, they could not completely exempt him from punishment. Ultimately, Zyu-bai was sentenced to 8 years in prison for forging commercial documents and committing commercial fraud. This outcome was enough to ruin his life. As for Lin Wei, she took the money she had swindled from Ju-bai, hoping to rise to the top overnight, but her greed and gullibility led her to be deceived and lose everything. To make a living, she had to frequent places she once disdained. And that so-called light of hers ultimately extinguished in the mire of glitz and glamour. These messages were all sent to me regularly by Ju Chiming Wall's special assistant. He said it was the young master's intention. He wanted me to know that everyone who had hurt me had received the punishment they deserved. After reading them, I simply replied calmly, understood. Their lives have nothing to do with me anymore. After that, I never saw Yu-bai again. I heard that after he was imprisoned, he applied to see me several times, but I refused every time. Later he completely disappeared from the news. 8 years is enough time to change many things. My gallery gradually gained momentum, and I also built a small reputation in the art world. Ju Chiming visited a few times, always quietly viewing the paintings before buying one or two. We became like friends, occasionally sharing a cup of coffee and chatting. He never talks about the past, nor does he ever mention emotions between us. There is an unspoken understanding. He knows I need time and is willing to give it to me until 1 year when I return to my home country to hold an art exhibition. At the celebration banquet, I saw Uncle Liang, whom I hadn't seen in a long time. He had aged a lot, but his spirits were still high. He told me that the old man had passed away peacefully a year ago. Before he left, he was still holding the ink stone I had given him. The old man said that the person he felt most sorry for in his life is you, Uncle Liang. Said, his eyes reddening. His greatest wish was for you to come home. I remained silent for a long time before softly replying, Uncle Liang, the place I am now is home. Uncle Liang looked at me and smiled with relief. Yes, you have your own home now. After the art exhibition I went to the old Ju family residence. The place remains, but the people are gone. I stood under the Osmond Thus tree I had planted with my own hands, and a gust of wind blew by, bringing with it a familiar fragrance. It felt as if I was seeing that afternoon from many years ago again. A down-and-out young man and an equally down-and-out young woman stood beneath this tree, making a promise to each other to walk together toward a bright future. Unfortunately, halfway there he was blinded by another false light and personally pushed away the one who had accompanied him through the long dark night. His phone rang. It was Ju Chiming. The exhibition was a great success. Congratulations. Thank you. Are you free tonight? Let's have dinner together. Looking at the golden Osman, thus flowers covering the tree, I smiled. Alright, the end. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Every week we bring you new and exciting content that you won't want to miss. Also feel free to share your thoughts and feelings in the comments section. Let's discuss and exchange ideas together. Remember to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you all for your support and see you next time. Well, that's all for today's story. If you like this video, please subscribe. We will continue to update more exciting stories and look forward to seeing you next time.